Well, we're going to break away from our international coverage to bring you more on the school coach full of children that overturned on the M53 motorway on Merseyside. The emergency services are due to give an update. Let's cross over live.
Emergency services were called to report of an overturned bus on the M53 at just after 8 o'clock this morning. We can confirm that the bus was a school bus taking pupils to West Kirby and Caldy Grammar Schools on the Wirral. We understand there were 54 people, including the driver, on the bus, and sadly, I can confirm that the driver and a 14-year-old schoolgirl have died. 2 children were taken from the scene to Alderhay Children's Hospital. 50 other children were taken to an emergency training centre where they were medically assessed, and 8 of those children have been taken to the Countess of Chester and Arrow Park hospitals. Our thoughts and condolences are very much with their families and friends at this tragic time. Family liaison officers are providing specialist support to both families, and we are working with the schools, Wirral Council and Cheshire West Council to ensure the necessary trauma support is in place for the children on the bus. We also know that other children from both schools were on buses travelling in convoy with the bus involved in the incident, and they witnessed the incident, and they too will be provided with specialist trauma support. The motorway is expected to be closed for a number of hours whilst investigative work is carried out, and we would like to thank motorists for their patience while the investigation is ongoing. Diversions are in place, and we encourage people where possible to take alternative routes. I would also like to remind people that there is an investigation ongoing, and would ask people to refrain from posting anything on social media that could hamper the investigation and not to speculate. I will now hand you over to Mark Thomas, the Area Manager for Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service.
Good afternoon. I can confirm that today Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service attended the incident Graham describes on the M53 northbound carriageway. We mobilised 2 appliances from local station and our search and rescue team to report of a school bus which had overturned. Firefighters worked with emergency services colleagues at scene to stabilise the vehicle. We ensured the scene was safe, and we assisted casualties exiting the bus. Working jointly with our police and ambulance colleagues, shortly after, we were able to assist the casualties onto a second coach to receive care away from the scene. Our operations are currently scaling down, and currently we stay at the scene in attendance to preserve the scene with Merseyside Police whilst an investigation is conducted. The thoughts of everyone at Merseyside Fire and Rescue Service are with the friends, the colleagues and the families of all of those involved in this terrible incident.
Good afternoon, I'm Joanne Clegg, Area Director for the North West Ambulance Service. Firstly, I would like to pass on our condolences to all those involved in this incident. Following reports of a crash involving a coach this morning, we declared a major incident. This was due to the potential number of casualties involved. As a result, we sent a substantial number of ambulances, senior clinicians and our hazardous area response teams. A critical care doctor was also dispatched to the scene. Tragically, we can confirm that there were 2 fatalities as a result of this crash. A further 2 patients were taken to Alderhay Children's Hospital with serious injuries. In addition, we have taken a number of patients to surrounding hospitals to be treated for minor injuries. 50 children were transported to a casualty clearing centre at the Emergency Service Training Centre in Wallasey. Of those 50, 39 have now been discharged. The remainder have been taken to hospital for further treatment. Assessments have taken place by our clinicians at the Emergency Service Centre, and patients there are being discharged, as I say, into the care of their parents, and a small number taken to hospital for further treatment. I would like to thank our emergency services colleagues for their support in ensuring that the scene was safe, so we were able to identify the most seriously injured while safeguarding all those involved in this incident. Again, I would like to express my sincere condolences to the family and friends of those affected. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Simone White, Director of Children, Families and Education from Wirral Council. I would very much like to start again by offering my sincerest condolences to everybody affected by this tragic incident today. Council staff are working closely with the schools and have been doing so since they were informed of the incident this morning. I'm sure everybody will understand that at the moment our focus and the focus of the schools is in supporting the pupils, families and wider school community who will have been affected by this incident. As the Council, we will continue to work with other local areas and all those who are affected, as we wish to provide support and assistance as needed to the families who have been involved in this. We are supporting the emergency services and will continue to respond to this incident, and will do whatever we need to do over time to help. Again, can I stress our deep sadness at the tragic loss and the impact on the families, friends, pupils and schools out there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll just leave that press conference there that was taking place, bringing in the police, ambulance service and council. We heard from a number of different members of the emergency services there, just delivering that news that a 14-year-old schoolgirl and a coach driver have died after a crash involving a school bus and a car. That's according to Merseyside police. They also said there during that press conference that 50 children were taken to nearby hospitals. 2 patients have serious injuries. Well, let's just go through that press conference and bring in our correspondent Azadeh Mashiri, who is in the newsroom. And Azadeh, some really sad news we're hearing that 2 people have died following that motorway crash on the M53 this morning.
Yes, Frankie, the words terrible incident and sincere condolences were used because we are talking about 2 deaths now. Officials have confirmed that both a bus driver and a 14-year-old schoolgirl have died as a result of the accident. They also said that 50 children were taken to nearby hospitals to be treated for minor injuries, and that 39 were then discharged. So, of course, that's difficult news to hear. That's something that we didn't want to speculate about, but those deaths have now been confirmed. And of course, officials also talked about the trauma that will have been involved for those who witnessed those scenes, both on whether they were children on the bus or people in the surrounding area, and that the emergency services and the police are providing specialist care for anyone dealing with any trauma from the incident. Of course, police also reminded the public that an investigation is still ongoing as to what could have happened to lead to these deaths and to the trauma involved. And so they are urging people to not post any distressing images on social media, nor to speculate on what could have happened, given the fact this is an ongoing investigation.
Okay, Azadeh Mashiri, in our newsroom. Thank you for that update. Well, just continuing with this story, just a reminder, Chief Superintendent Graham Robson confirming that 54 people were travelling on that school bus this morning. 2 died, the driver and a 14-year-old girl. Well, some of those were taken to Alderhay Hospital in Liverpool, which is where our reporter Nick Garnett is for us. And Nick, what do we know about those that were taken to the hospital and the injuries that they sustained? Are they serious?
The hospital is treating 2 patients at the moment. They were ones that were brought through about 11 miles away from where I am now, which is where the crash happened, through the Mersey Tunnel, and are being treated at this specialist children's hospital at the moment. The hospital says that it is coping well with it. They asked originally, they didn't know how many people were going to be coming, and they asked for people not to come to A&E unless it was absolutely vital. They now know that everyone who needs to be brought here is here and is being treated here, and so that the hospital is running completely as normal. The press conference, the news conference, said that 8 other children were injured. They were taken to the Countess of Chester Hospital, which is probably about 11 or 12 miles away from where the crash happened as well, and Arrow Park Hospital, which is much closer, probably only a 5-minute drive away from where the crash happened. And other children who were treated at a triage centre, at a treatment centre that had been set up nearby. They were being assessed there before being moved on to hospital, those that needed to be. Others were then picked up by their parents and taken home as well. We know that the hospital here at Alderhay, they've put special arrangements in place to help the families of those children who are being treated here, for them to be looked after as well, and to be kept in touch with what's happening with their children, so that they know that they're getting the care that they receive. But at the moment, the hospital says that it is coping well, that it is happy with how things are going, and that just 2 children are being treated at what is the area's specialist children's hospital.
And Nick, I think it is a sign also that the hospital said that it had de-escalated from a major incident following this crash. It does seem like it is.
No, the de-escalation doesn't mean that this is not a very, very serious incident. What it means is that the plans that they had in place were absolutely fine and worked everything out, and that they didn't need to carry on bringing staff who were off duty or staff who weren't around to bring those in. In effect, the message is that the plan that was put in place was enough, it's worked properly, and that they are able to cope with the number of injuries that came. As I said, only 2 children are being treated here. More children are being treated at the Countess of Chester Hospital, which is a general hospital, just a few miles away, and at Arrow Park Hospital, both of which are probably closer and easier to get to than this specialist children's hospital on the outskirts of Liverpool.
OK, Nick Garnett at Alderhay Hospital in Liverpool. Thank you for that update.